Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Tastemakers podcast. This is, of course, the podcast where we talk about all of the things going on in the world of TV and film. We taste them so you don't have to, or maybe so that you end up tasting. I don't know. We do the tasting. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and we are here today to talk through some of the news, some new things. We're going to catch up on some things. We're going to talk about some upcoming things. That's how we usually structure these podcasts. Grace is my co-host. How are you doing, Grace?
I'm doing well. Taran, I think it's been a full year. I don't think we've ever used the phrasing, it's a taste test. We taste them for you and let people know. We're tastemakers. We test them out for people. We'll let them know whether it's good or bad. Should they spit it out? We'll see.
You know? Plenty to talk about. We got some cancellations. We got some HBO news, some Netflix news, some new shows and movies to talk about, and then a couple of upcoming things as well. We're going to talk about some Murderbot. We're going to talk about Duster. Final Destination made a big impact. So plenty of topics today, Grace.
Yeah, there's lots to talk about. It's a good time. I think there's a lot of good TV on, so we'll help people parse through what they should prioritize, I think.
Yeah, well, listen, the biggest news of the week is that Max is now HBO Max.
Yeah, I mean, this is so funny because, and we're so late. I think this happened literally maybe a day or two after we recorded last week. So a bit of a disappointing that they couldn't wait for us. So we're now a full week behind. So every joke possible has been made, including on HBO Max's own advertisements about the fact that they're HBO Max again. That is how I first saw the news, which is John Cena's Peacemaker was making fun of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's not much more to say about it other than just it just goes on to highlight the wildness of what's happening over at HBO lately. But in an ideal world, this is an indication that they're kind of maybe getting back on track. But
I think the thing that kind of gets missed in this a little bit is that it's, to be fair to HBO and HBO Max, HBO as a brand does not pull that well. And this is according to some surveys that have been internationally. And it also does have this thing of it has this notion of prestige TV, which I think in the bubble that you and I, the television bubble that we live in, as much as big as we try to make it, also has more I think we like that idea of what HBO, we tend to like the quality of content that comes out on HBO, but in actuality, it sometimes has been seen as a detriment to them, and that's why they moved away from it. The problem, I think, is that they had both things happen. They were both HBO and Max. That was very confusing, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess in one instance, it's well, fix your brand. If your brand is a detriment to the type of that you're seen as too prestige and it's not served well internationally. I don't know what you do to fix that, but I don't know.
I think it's easy. I think that HBO developed the brand that it had, but back in the day when they launched their streaming service, the HBO Go, I think even before HBO Go, there was something.
Oh yeah, I forgot about HBO Go. I forgot about that.
Glad they didn't name it Go. But Max is almost as bad. Just Max by itself is just a terrible name. But I had that service and I associated HBO with just having a huge library of content in the same way that Netflix did. But it felt like a genuine competitor to Netflix at the time. And obviously it didn't work. So this isn't quite working, but there was a time when I was I'm just going to watch everything on HBO Go because they just have some fun stuff to watch. And it's not all prestige stuff. It's just a library of content, a lot of movies in particular. And I think that the way that to do that is to just do what all of the other services do, which is we have our prestige stuff. But you can also come to us if you want to sit down and watch The Office for 24 hours straight. We have this, we have Suits, we have all of we have the stuff that you're going to just turn on. And I think that you get there by winning people through the prestige stuff. You get there by then advertising all of the other stuff that you have. an example of this is the next news story, which is that Sesame Street is coming to Netflix. Like, look, we have this too, is kind of like the thing, right? And so I think that's I think that's probably what they're going to do. It's just like, to stop trying to reinvent the wheel here. Netflix has the winning formula. Just do what they're doing, and which is what everyone's trying to do. But like what HBO has in terms of its like, the thing that's helps it stand apart is its prestige stuff that stands above everything else. And so I think it's going to be like and that's what everyone's trying to compete with, and HBO still stands above. And so I think all they need to do is just retain the name recognition that they do have, and fill out the catalog in the way that all the other streamers are trying to do.
Well, so what I think is interesting though about that is like I do agree to some to some, like I get, like you always have to have good content to be able to like build a good brand, you know, like you're like it doesn't really matter what your service is called. Like there's literally a joke on Hacks this season where they're like, are you like they're like, oh, this exec like quit, they went to Clubo, like what's Clubo, and it's like, that's Pluto plus Quibi combined. You're like, keep up. And it's like, yeah, there are very silly names, like really I don't think the names matter that much. I think the thing is that like Netflix, there is the version where you can try to be what Netflix is. There is the world where trying to be what Netflix is failing because Netflix is so like far and away the most subscribed streamer that there you can shift your like basically we're talking about an over the top streamer as opposed to a production company. And so actually like Warner Brothers has been one of the first places to do this, which is to often sell the rights to their movies to Netflix. So you as HBO and then HBO Max, you are focused on creating the best content possible. And actually and this is where like I start to fall down on, and we've talked about maybe doing like a a streamer power ranking of some degree, but like to me, I care more about good quality content being made and then me being able to see it. If that means I have to subscribe to Max or whatever, okay, then that's fine. But if you make good content and then it eventually like goes to Netflix or whatever, like fine by me as well. Just make good content, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel about Sesame Street?
That's so as somebody who has many nieces and nephews who are young, I feel like the only time they ever watch television is at my parents' place. Like, so at their grandparents, my mom will still sometimes be like, "Oh yeah, I PVR'd or I'll put on Treehouse or whatever." But like when I'm at their house, they're often watching things either via YouTube Kids, or they're watching things on streamers. My nieces and nephews, all of them except for the new babies, all know how to use Netflix just fine to find the things that they want, and so it's a very smart move for Netflix, I think, to acquire Sesame Street and put on the platform. I think it's like so smart, actually, because Sesame Street was a little bit hard to find previously. There's a thing here in Canada where like we're a little different because like we actually don't have HBO Max. We have Crave, which you can get with HBO, so we don't have Max at all. So yeah.
Also, some news about The Bondsman. It has been canceled. We talked about this. This was the Kevin Bacon show. I watched the first episode. I thought it was fine. I think I actually watched a little bit more than the first episode, but I did not return to it. And it appears that many people also did not return to it or never found it in the first place because it has now been canceled.
Yeah, I don't know. People who watched it seem to like it. I think it got like I didn't mind the first episode. I just didn't think it was like the best thing I'd ever watched. It definitely felt like, I think I keep saying this, but I felt like Dad Supernatural. I guess Supernatural for dads is a little bit of what I felt like it was like, and that just is not my wheelhouse. But my friend, I was like, so I got screeners to this. You and I had gotten screeners for this. They had like, and not because we requested it, because they were just like, hey, you should watch the bottom. And the tagline of the show was so silly that I told my friend, I was like, I got this new show. Should I watch it? He's like, you should absolutely watch it. And then many weeks later, he messaged me like, hey, I heard The Bondsman's actually good. I was like, yeah, so I shouldn't have made fun of it so hard. So, yeah.
So an interesting thing about this, and I'm trying to find the exact number here, but so The Bondsman is canceled, and you might say that makes sense. I've maybe never heard of The Bondsman, or I only heard of The Bondsman via this podcast. But the weird thing is that, and this is reported on Forbes, that the show is currently #2 on Amazon after a month and a half.
It might just be expensive or something. Like it's a lot of like CGI. I mean, I can't imagine that Kevin Bacon is making that much money, but it must just. I do feel like Amazon Prime tends to take big swings that then they like bail on because they're too expensive. You know what I mean? Like, I think that they need like a no doubter hit success show. Um, like the two that I'm thinking of is like Rings of Power and Wheel of Time supposedly are like both very expensive, you know? So I think that this is probably a network that is willing to spend money, but has to see a huge return on that huge
Well, that's
spend.
the thing. Like Wheel of Time is still kind of
I
fighting
know.
for
Yeah.
renewal for its 4th season, and I'm not sure that Wheel of Time has ever hit number 2 on Amazon.
I know, but aren't you,
I'm sure
isn't it
it's
like,
more expensive.
I know, but every time it gets renewed, aren't you like, whoa, that is great news, surprising news that the Wheel of Time is coming back. You know what I mean?
Exactly,
I
but
yeah.
I think in many ways it's an indictment of the entire platform that the current number 2 show that is a new show that's been out for a month and a half just got canceled. It's like,
Yeah.
well, nothing can be doing too well then. Like this, you must be kind of struggling. It feels like a bad sign, but there might be other factors, but
My problem, I think, with all, like the problem to me with Amazon Prime shows is I only ever go there if I'm actually actively looking for a show that I know I'm going to watch. And so I know that's like what a lot of networks have. So like I go for Rings of Power and I go for Wheel of Time or maybe some other random hit, but I'm never just like scrolling Prime Video to see what I'm going to watch. You know, like I'll do that with Netflix and be like, let me try to find something to watch. I will not do that with Prime Video at all, ever in my life.
Mhm.
So
But
tough.
well, this also comes in the same week where we got a story about, or really a release from Amazon themselves, that they're going to be introducing new AI powered contextual ads in their streaming service, which is like, how could I combine a bunch of words that people hate into one sentence? Like that's how I would do it, right? Like,
Yeah. Hmm.
it this feels ominous to me, this for the Amazon platform, that
Well,
are they even, is this a floundering way of trying to make their money because they're struggling, or is it like just the direction of streaming? Like, who knows?
Well, doesn't it feel like, I think the thing that Wheel of Time and Rings of Power, and I honestly am so struggling to come up with any other example for a show that's on Amazon Prime. I literally can't think of any other shows that are on there. But
Hmm.
the thing that those things have, and literally I am an example of this, and so maybe that's super anecdotal, but it's like, oh yeah, watch it, and then it's like, oh yeah, maybe I should like buy this, one of the Lord of the Rings books,
Yeah.
and so I go there, and I don't. The Bondsman just, I assume, doesn't have that, there's some stuff that I feel like they actually could be successful Amazon Prime shows, but just like they don't get them. Like Slow Horses, there's so many Slow Horses books. I'm like, that feels like it would have been a perfect fit for Amazon Prime because then people would buy the books. But yeah.
Yeah. All right. That's most of the news that I had. Do you have any
Yeah.
news
No, I don't have
stories?
much else news. No.
Okay. Well, let's talk about some of the new shows and movies then. You said you watched some Murderbot.
I did watch some Murderbot. I watched the first 2 episodes and I am very excited to watch more. I like it. It was this is it's funny because sometimes I actually like take a step back from stuff that's like a little campier or like the tone is just off from what I want, but I
Mhm.
actually just think this tone is really fun. It's perfect. I think it is that it's like Skarsgård here. I really like the first 2 episodes, and I'm excited to watch more. I think it's I think you said this last week. It's like a pretty easy watch, which I
Yeah.
totally agree with. The way that they tell the story is really fun. Like the things that they're doing with like the sentient robot. It's a story that we've seen a bunch of times, but it does feel unique. So I enjoyed Murderbot so far.
It's funny too that it's an easy watch, because I don't feel like it's an easy read. And I don't mean that like it's not a good read, but I've found that reading the Murderbot short stories and books, like there's a lot of detail in them. And so I have to like really focus to
Right.
to like know what's happening. But the show is I wouldn't say any less detailed necessarily, but like it is just very easy to watch, and it's like just it's kind of a fun vibe. It's got 7.4 here on IMDb right now, and I think that's fairly appropriate. I think I'd have it a little higher myself, but I think that's a good indication of like it's not gonna blow you away necessarily. Granted, these are based on the first 2 episodes only, but it is, I think, just a very fun show, and if it hits you, I think you're really gonna like it. So, good stuff.
Yeah.
Duster. You had a chance to watch Duster. I have not seen it yet, but I've seen a slightly tepid response. Well, I'm curious about what your thoughts are.
I quite like it. I think it's quite good. I think that I like it. I like the 2 leads. I like.
Can I just quickly set this in case people don't remember or they're not watching the video?
Yes.
This is the J.J. Abrams, Latoya Morgan show with Josh Holloway from Lost that we talked about last week. It's about a getaway driver who works with like an FBI agent or something.
Yeah. So one of the things that you sort of talked about last week is like when you were like, there was like, I think like a synopsis that you were reading, and you're like, that's not the synopsis that I know. I feel like the interpretation of the show is like Josh Holloway led vehicle, and that's not a pun because there's a car in the thing, but that was kind of like like the thing that I kept seeing. And the show is actually, I think, much more from Rachel Hilson's point of view. Like we spent a lot of time with her. We spent a fair amount of time. The premiere is 51 minutes. We spent a fair amount of time with Josh Holloway, and then by the end of it, see how they're like going to be synced together, which is that like, yeah, he's going to be an informant for her as an FBI agent. And you can imagine, like, based on the time setting, it's based in 1972, and the amount of like racism and sexism that she would experience as being an FBI agent of that time. I think it is fun so far. I quite like it. I think Josh Holloway is like very charming, but I think like Rachel Hilson, who plays the FBI agent, I think is really good so far as the lead. There's a lot that kind of happens in the first episode to set everything up to the point where like we definitely like in the episode being like, and this is what we're gonna do, rather than like sometimes you get at the beginning. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I think the aesthetic of it is good. I like the story. We'll see. We'll see if it's good. There's a lot of people you'll be like, oh, that guy. Like even the guy who's, I do not know that guy's name who's on the video, but I know that guy. There's a lot of them. Mm-hmm.
Well, you mentioned that it like deals with topics like racism, and I'm like, oh, okay. Well, then I can't trust a tepid response.
That's fair. Yeah, that's Corbin Burnson also in the video. But I was like, I was like, do you know Corbin Burnson? I didn't know until I looked him up. So, yeah.
Well, Love, Death, and Robots dropped its 4th season on Netflix. What I have seen in terms of response for this, I have not watched any of it, is that I've seen this is the worst season of Love, Death, and Robots so far, that people are not super pleased with it.
What was the thing? I saw this thing where it was like, and I was like, oh, this is so annoying. This is the way it's being advertised, where it was like, Love, Death, and Robots episodes brought to you by from the brains of Mr. Beast and someone else. And like, I don't hate Mr. Beast. But I was like, maybe rough. Maybe we're getting to the point where like is that true? I didn't dream that, did I? Loved that there's like a Mr. Beast created episode of this season.
No idea.
Okay, well, let me see if yeah. I mean, David Fincher is a producer on this show, but
Love, Death, and Robots season 4. Which episode features Mr. Beast?
Does he?
Yeah, he has a role, I guess, in one of the episodes.
All right, so I'm not totally out there. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, I think it's a good show. It's again, it's a series of shorts, animated shorts. Each episode is its own thing. Then generally has some ups and downs. I guess the general response so far is that this has been mostly downs in season 4, but there still might be some diamonds in the rough.
Oh, the first episode is like a Red Hot Chili Peppers where they're like depicted as marionettes of the new season. Yeah, so like I think they're just trying some weird stuff, which I haven't watched much of Love, Death, and Robots, so I don't know how in line that is. But yeah, the first episode is basically performing their song Can't Stop live in 2003, but the band is depicted as marionettes.
There you go.
Yeah.
Any other shows you want to talk about?
I feel like you and I spent most of our, I know we're mostly a scripted TV podcast for We Know Scripted TV.
Mm.
I think the two of us spent a lot of time watching The Devil's Plan, which just continues to be the best show. I just
That's
think
so good.
it's so good. It is. I was explaining it to some. I was at a wedding this past weekend, and of course, when you're like with a bunch of people, like, what should I be watching? And I was like, I don't know if I can actually recommend it, because every episode is like the most complicated board game your friend brings over to play and tries to explain it to you, but in another language. And they were like, that sounds terrible. And I was like, but it's really good. I don't know how to explain to you that it's so good. And this show just continues to prove why it's the best. I just love it. I just think it's so good.
Yeah, I've been making some like videos of me watching The Genius UK, and I tried to do the same thing for The Devil's Plan. Won't go up on Netflix, or sorry, won't go up on YouTube because it's a Netflix show. So I've had to put it behind a paywall.
Right.
But I'm really enjoying doing them, and a lot of people are basically like, it's a lot better to watch it with somebody who's like pausing and helping break down what's
I
happening.
bet. I'm constantly rewinding and being like, sometimes actually, here's a trick I do sometimes if you want one. I don't know, but sometimes I rewatch the rules of the game in dubbed English. And I feel like that is a thing that actually sometimes can help me, because I'm like not both trying to read it and do it's like I'm getting all of it just censored, but put the rest of it, watch it in Korean. But
It's such a here's the thing though, like yes, it's complicated, but the drama in this show is so high. It's high drama. There's betrayals. It's like the way that people get eliminated. It can be so dramatic, in such great ways. Like the storylines are phenomenal, and the fact that it is on the back of these very smart players and games only further serves it, I think.
And also, just like, it's okay to remind yourself when you're watching, because I feel it's too. It's like, man, I don't understand it, and like sometimes that's the point. Like
Oh
sometimes,
yeah.
like, you're not supposed to quite get. There's a moment in a game that they play. I think at the end of the last batch, where like there's literally a whole mechanic they never figure out until like they go in to start playing the game, and like, how would you as a person watching ever know that? And so you're like, part of the fun is actually to just kind of let how the show is trying to explain the things to you, because they will actually try to then explain or show you how the tricks of the thing are supposed to work, or how somebody might have figured out a thing. So it just is real. I mean, it makes me want to play a bunch of board games, Terrence. What it
Yeah.
makes me want to do. There are a lot of other really good shows. I mean, we did a whole podcast, we did our deep dive, but I think The Last of Us just had probably its best episode of season 2 at the very least. And so I think like that will be a conversation piece, is like this latest episode of the show. So that's worth watching. The Rehearsal just started, and I thought had another, or sorry, didn't just start. It had another episode that I thought was just like another tremendous week of television. The Studio continues to air. There's just some really good TV that like I'm just sort of like picking away at each week, but so we're not like stopping down to dive into it, but all very good stuff, I think.
Yeah. Final Destination Bloodlines came out in theaters this weekend, and it crushed.
Yeah.
It did really well in the box office, and 7.1 on IMDb for a horror movie is a pretty good rating. And I've seen some pretty good feedback overall. People are really enjoying this movie, and it did better than Sinners. Like,
Yeah.
it did really well.
Yeah, I think what's surprising to me about this is like it shouldn't be that surprising. And so I feel like the surprise thing is like, oh, I'm can't believe I'm surprised by it, because first of all, horror movies can have this moment of like a horror movie will just hit and enough people to go out there, a very reliable movie audience. When the movie is good, when the movie is fun or interesting, movie fans will show out. And the reason as well, like, yeah, $50 million is like a great weekend for like a lot of movies. It's like an exceptionally great for a horror movie that probably didn't have a super high budget. So
It's also like the sixth movie in a franchise that is what, like over 20 years old. Yeah, 2000 the first Final
yes,
Destination came out.
yes. And I would say this about like, part of this too is like there hasn't been a Final Destination movie in more than like 13 years. Last one came out in August of 2011. There hasn't been one in a while. So I think the appetite for it is there. And the other thing too is like I feel like Final Destination is kind of like a sneaky franchise in the sense that it is not, I think, the thing when you'd be like, list the 5 best horror franchises ever. You wouldn't be like putting Final Destination, but it's like in the lexicon enough of like the
I
amount
feel
of
like everyone knows about the Final Destination concept.
yeah, and so it's just has this like cultural cachet that I think it was able to like cash in on for a very successful box office weekend that really has not had a ton of competition in the sense that like yes, Sinners is still doing well, but it's been out for a number of weeks. You know,
Well,
Thunderbolts,
and Thunderbolts came out.
Thunderbolts,
Yeah, I mean,
and
it's like
Minecraft movie, but yeah,
it has been a series of successes basically over the last couple
it's
of
great,
over the last month or so. Like
very
just
good.
constant stream of successes. So interesting stuff.
Yeah.
I also wanted to know how people were receiving the Hurry Up Tomorrow.
Not good.
Ooh.
Not great, Bob, as they say. Yeah, this movie, I hope Barry Keoghan and Jen Ortega got paid so much money for this because I love them so much. I love Barry Keoghan so much, and I'm so sad to hear that this movie is bad. I did hear a little rumor that the press were not able to watch it before the junkets, and that feels like bad news. Like just I don't know. It feels I don't know. But I don't know. Yeah, I heard they were. Yeah, I don't know. This is supposedly to try. Do you know this movie was funded by Live Nation? So Live Nation was the one who did this to like try to like basically promo the weekend's concert tour because of like there's songs related to this movie that are then that is a mess, and I think he probably needs to like not take lead movie roles or just fully take a break from movies for a little bit. I don't think he
Yeah,
could be the
this
lead
is
of
the
the.
second massive failure from the weekend trying to break into an acting career.
Can I
And
just tell you for thank God for unfortunately like how much vitriol there was against Canada from the president of the United States because otherwise we have taken massive L's on our Canadian celebrities over the last few years and like I don't know that it would like I feel like we would have started to be seemed very uncool if not for our like resistance to the elbows up to your American president because between the Drake story and the weekend I feel like it's been pretty bad for Canadians. Yeah.
yeah. All right. Any other movies from this week that you saw?
I didn't want. Yeah, it was a very slow movie week for me, so
Yeah.
didn't see anything. You know what I keep getting? It keeps being advertised to me for video on demand when I turn on my smart TV, and the first thing that pops up, Taran, Sneaks, which is, as we know, Cars for Shoes.
I think we've talked more about Sneaks than almost any other movie.
Popped up last night as I was like I went to go watch the last bit of The Devil's Plan, and it was like, hey, do you actually want to watch Sneaks? I said, no, thank you.
Let's talk about some of the upcoming shows because there's one that is interesting to me, which is Sirens is going to be coming out this week. This has Millie Alcock from House of the Dragon.
This is a Netflix show, right? Coming?
I
Yeah, it
believe
is.
so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is.
it's also got Glenn Howerton
It's got
and
Kevin
Kevin
Bacon.
Bacon.
Yeah, it is. The
And
cast looks.
Julianne Moore.
Yeah, the cast looks great for this.
Yeah, it's
Julianne Moore,
tons of
Megan
people you would
Fahey,
recognize.
Millie Alcock, Kevin Bacon, Glenn Howerton, Josh Segarra, who I think is like one of the funniest people ever. If you know him from the other two, he's very
And
funny. Bill Camp.
so this is made by the woman that made the show
Bill
made.
May.
If you saw this one on Netflix, this was actually probably where a lot of people first saw Margaret Qualley.
Yeah.
But it was a good show. It done very well.
It's also
And
based on a play, Sirens. I think that's interesting too. It'd be interesting to see if it
that is
feels
interesting.
very play-like. It's based on a play
I mean, it
called
looks very flat.
yeah.
So
The play is called
at least
Elemento
from this.
LMNOP, spelt out phonetically LMNOP. But yeah, I'm excited for Sirens. It looks fun. Dark comedy. It's being built as.
Could be very fun. Could be a mess. Who knows? But I'm hoping fun.
I feel like Netflix has had a very good string of comedies recently.
Yeah,
So
it's true.
yeah, I don't know who's running their comedy department, but they've been hidden. It's only 5 episodes too. It's only 5 episodes.
Rick and Morty, still trucking on. They had that like 100 episode order a while ago. They're gonna start season 8 I think they've already done one season without Justin Roiland, right? Yeah.
Yeah, they already did.
This will
Yeah.
be their second season without him. But you know, I haven't watched it in a while, but I'm sure it's still got some fun episodes here and there.
I like Rick and Morty. I watched the last season. I thought it was fun. I'll watch this one as well. And also, it gives me one of my only reliable impressions that I can do, which is I can do an okay Morty. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
are we going to hear it?
Oh, geez, Taran. I don't know about that. I don't know.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, it's okay. Yeah. All right. Can't. Okay, and then you do your Rick.
Can I say I almost didn't watch the show at all because I watched the first episode and I could not get past the burping from
The
Rick.
burping and fart, it's tough. It is. I find it to be.
They tone it down. If in case you've ever like me tried to watch the show and are like, this is not, I can't do this. They tone it down eventually, and it can be very good at times. This show, so it's also like just it's got a lot of baggage as well.
A lot of baggage, yeah. But like, if just every once in a while, it has just like a legitimately very funny thing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any other shows upcoming that you noticed that you want to talk about? Because there's a bunch of them, but none of them are really standing out to me at the moment.
No, I think we could do a better job of this before they're like, if we're just like not really gonna watch or talk, not that we won't watch them. I just don't know. Like sometimes we're really digging into the trenches to find these shows. We're like, this comes out this week, and then nobody watches them and they go away. So yeah,
trying to be more judicious about which ones we bring up. There's a movie though that we definitely need to talk about, of course, which is Mission Impossible, which is coming up. This is the final reckoning, the final movie of the final set of movies in the final Mission Impossible movie.
Supposedly he won't do one after this. I think if it makes money, he will. I like the Mission Impossible movie. I like the last one.
Me too.
So I'm excited to go see this. I'm gonna go try to see it in IMAX and see in the biggest screen possible. I should probably book some. I should probably look for tickets. I'm excited for this. I think it'll be great. He's on. You know what? I do really for as much as there is you could say about Tom Cruise. I just love how much that guy loves movies. And like he's always hyping for movies, and so I shall go watch Mission Impossible the final.
I will say I feel like this is the least amount of marketing I've seen for a Mission Impossible movie. I feel like I haven't seen any viral stuff about the big stunt, which I assume there is one, but normally I see more stuff about it.
Yeah, I feel like for the last one it was like that like motorcycle off the cliff thing, right? And like, but I have not seen very much. So actually, the thing that was more impressive is in the last one was like the driving while handcuffed thing. I thought was like so. I guess he was handcuffed to somebody else, right? And then he had to drive. That was very impressive.
Of course, we also have Lilo and Stitch.
This one is so interesting to me because I feel like there is this movie, like the original Lilo and Stitch is like very popular. I feel like it's like one of those movies that like you don't often hear people you don't really hear people who are like, oh, it's a bad movie, but I feel like you have people who like really love these movies. I don't really have a particular nostalgia for Lilo and Stitch, but it does seem like the one of the movies that makes the most sense to do live action. Like you can animate whichever one Stitch. Which one is the monster? See, I don't know.
I never watched Lilo and Stitch actually.
I think it has to be. I think the monster has to be Stitch. No,
you would assume
the
so.
girl's not going to be named Stitch, so she's named Lilo.
Stitch voice,
yeah. So it's that, and then all the rest of the like animated characters are like just going to be humans. I think in this, so like you just animate the monster.
Yeah, unlike most of like the live action Disney movies where it's like all of the characters are animated anyway.
You're all the lions who are now also animated lions, you know, CGI lions. Yeah. No, this makes so much sense to me. And
he looks very cute in this little screenshot. So
I haven't watched Lilo and Stitch in a really long time. So I am definitely in the camp of like, I don't hate Lilo and Stitch, but I don't have like this like beloved fondness for it. So
my very vague understanding of Lilo and Stitch is that this was sort of like it was a movie that was pitched and it sort of has like a more independent feel for a Disney movie. It wasn't like one of their, because it was like a new property, and it had like a lot of like sort of passion put into this. it was like a passion project kind of thing, and then it did very well, and people really loved it, and it didn't feel like the kind of same old Disney stuff
Yeah,
that they've
agreed.
been pumping out.
Yeah.
But like I said, I haven't watched it. So.
No, people love it. People love it. It's
Yeah.
just, it is interesting. It's an interesting weekend for there also being Mission Impossible, because I think Mission Impossible will win the weekend, but it is interesting to think that like people might, like, if you're going to go to the movies and you're only going to go once, and you would take your, I think it'll be interesting, like 2 weekend thing. I don't know what's coming out the weekend after that would like affect any of the box office for this.
I'm surprised they didn't try to Barbenheimer this.
Yeah, what would you call it?
Maybe they did. Maybe they tried and didn't work.
Mission Impossible Lilo.
The final stitch.
The final stitching. That's good. That's good. Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
I don't think I really have anything else. I feel like there's just like a lot of quality TV on, but not a lot that was like super new, you know? I didn't talk about Poker Face. Poker Face. That was quite good again. So yeah,
I'm kind of just like slowly moving through Poker Face, because I just personally feel like I enjoy it more when I give it a little space.
That's fair.
But I'm enjoying it.
Three like hour-long episodes in week 1, I think, was probably too much even for a show I really liked. So yeah.
I mean, man, I wish The Devil's Plan would drop slower.
Oh man, I definitely
4 episodes of like an hour and a half each is like.
I know, but also it's really good.
It is very good. It is very good.
You know what? It's a show that I don't feel. Oh, I was thinking about this. I was like, have you ever seen a show? There's an episode in Batch 2 where it's
I haven't watched Batch 2 yet.
Okay, this won't be a spoiler, but like the timing of when they put the intro credits in is wild. For these type of shows.
It gets me every time. I'm putting out videos of myself every time the opening credits go. I go, ah.
They do it in an episode that's like an hour and a half, and the opening credits come in at like 44 minutes. That's amazing. That's amazing to like just put it in the spot where it's going to hit the most in the episode. Not, it's
such a hype moment every time. The Wheel of Time did that actually, in their very good episode.
Postponing the intro credits. Yeah,
I think it's a very, very effective thing to do. I like it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is the Tastemakers then for this week. We'll be back next week to talk about all of the new stuff coming, and maybe catch up on some others and talk about the news and all of that good stuff. In the meantime, check out our coverage of The Last of Us if you want to hear about that. They did just have perhaps our favorite episode of the entire season so far. Maybe even the entire show. Who knows? So tune in for that coverage and the deep dive for The Last of Us episode 6. And if you want to find my coverage of or my reactions to The Devil's Plan, you can find that on my YouTube. I have the Genius. I have a link to a Patreon where you can watch the Devil's Plan reactions as well. I'm working on those. And that's about it. Grace, how about you?
I had some interviews come out for some Hack stars. So Michaela Watkins, who's playing Stacy this season, she was very fun to chat to. She was very very game to chat through. Why she said she's playing an annoying take your aunt to work day type character. She's very funny. I'll have an interview with Tony Goldwyn coming out this week for the finale. I think it's the finale this week. It could be a week behind. So all my writing is on parade.com, or Pop Heist was writing about Survivor, and this week is the Survivor finale. So there's be lots of coverage here on RHAP, but I'm also writing about it. And yeah, anything else I'm doing, I'm on social media at Hi From Grace or at Go From Grace.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us here today, and we will see all of you next time.